right, it's time to get back to work on the 180, get that reassembled. I've got a box full of parts here I got from Allstate Ag Parts. They're kind of my go-to parts source. They're close enough. I get the parts pretty quickly. They don't sponsor my channel, but they could. Hint, hint. Anyway, I've got the new friction plate here. I've got new linings for the bands. I've got a couple new springs. I've got a new brake drum here. What I don't have yet is the brake plate, the other side of this. They didn't have that part in stock, so the other part of this I have ordered from Steiner's. It was a little bit more, but they have it. So according to the tracking information, FedEx should be dropping that off somewhere sometime today here. Also from another vendor, I've got a new clevis for the right-hand brake rod, the one that someone has kind of welded up in a sketchy manner. I'll have to take this off and cut the rod and cut some new threads on it, and then I'll have this back up into shape where I can trust it again. The first thing I'm going to do is put new linings on the brake bands. I've had these over the grinder and ground the old rivets off. I don't have a riveting tool. What I've always done when I relined the brake shoes on WD-45s, I just put a bolt in my vise and position everything so the head of the bolt, or the bolt, is on the head of the rivet. Then take a punch and flatten down the rivet. I don't know, that's probably not the approved method, but that's what I've always done when relining WD-45 brake shoes. And it's always worked, so I don't see why it won't work for this. Reminds me of the good old days when we used to have to rivet all the sickle sections in to the hay mowers and the hay binds. That was fun. All right, the FedEx man brought me the brake plate from Steiner's, along with the obligatory cowtails. So now it's time to start assembling stuff in earnest. All right, I've sanded off the contact surface on the new friction plate. That contacts with the back side of the brake drum here. And that plate goes on the other side of the drum. So now I've got my balls I need to put in here, and I like to lightly grease my balls. Insert your own joke here. There we go. I'm going to put the plate here. And when this turns sideways, of course, it expands and activates the brakes. And this is just held together with two springs. One goes in, they go in from each side. And let's see. Okay, it was a little more time consuming than I thought. I ended up just using a small piece of wire and looping it down through and pulling the end of the spring and hooking it, but I've got it all installed now. It's all together. So now it's time to put the brake bands back in the tractor. I've got the new friction plate installed on the final drive assembly. I've got my new brake drum assembly slid onto the axle here. And I've got my new relined brake shoes installed into there. This just, there's just a pin through the top there that you have to, there's the end of it that slides out, and the bottom is held by a number of pins there. And yeah, I have learned the trick of with the phone taking pictures of all this stuff before you disassemble it. It's real convenient at assembly time. There are two springs, one here and one here, that hold the springs open. And I'm just about ready to screw the control rod back in the bottom, but I think before I do that, I'm going to take the rod off of the right side that with the issue that I discovered the other day, and get that issue resolved before I go any farther. So here are the left and right brake control rods. Yeah, that is just not cool. So I'm going to cut that off, cut some new threads on there, and put my new clevis on. I also need to fabricate another little bracket there for my return spring, since the one on this one was gone. And there we are. I'm feeling a lot better about heading down a hill with a load behind me now. I've got the final drive bolted on and torqued down, and I've got the two brake control rods installed and adjusted, so the brakes are pretty well adjusted now. So I think now I'm going to go in and grab some lunch and then come back out and start doing all the boring, fussy stuff to putting everything back together. All right, the 180 is officially back in service. It goes and it stops and it does all the things it's supposed to do. So that's good. I'm glad to have it back. I've turned out that I use this more than any other tractor. It's been a really good acquisition for me. But right now, my arthritis is barking at me pretty good. So I'm going to call it a day. Going to head into the house and see about getting me some dinner. So until next time, everyone stay safe, and we'll see you later.